So, if the thought of ignoring your circumstances makes you feel uneasy, or it doesn't make sense to you, or you're thinking to yourself, how can I possibly ignore my circumstances if they're always in front of me? Then this video is for you. I'm going to talk to you about what I think works better than ignoring your circumstances. I'm going to talk about how you can use your circumstances to catapult you to a new level when it comes to manifestation. So, a very popular and true idea in the manifestation community is that circumstances don't matter. And the truth is, circumstances do not matter with regards to what is possible for you going forward. So, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are today, you can create anything you want going forward. Now, I think a derivative of that truth is that people are saying you should just ignore your current circumstances, right? When you're trying to create something new. And I understand where this comes from. It can be challenging to get into the rhythm of how manifestation works, right? We are conditioned to react to our circumstances. And in reacting to our circumstances, we give off a certain vibration that signals our higher self to give us more of that circumstance. So you have to be pretty disciplined in your thought processes in order to observe your circumstance while fully vibrating at a new vibration to bring in the new thing that you want to bring in. So it makes sense, especially if you're new to manifesting, that a manifesting content creator would tell you to just ignore your circumstances altogether. Just skip that part, just focus on what you want to bring in. I think, though, this is from personal experience. As I've matured on my manifestation journey, I've realized how important circumstances are to understanding what your true desires are, right? How important they are to catapulting us to the reality that we truly desire. Let me explain a little bit more what I mean by that. I think of circumstances as a mirror. They're kind of a snapshot of what your underlying beliefs have been up to this point. So, if you observe the circumstances around you and you ask yourself the question, what would I need to believe in order to create this reality? What beliefs does this current set of circumstances represent? If you can ask yourself that question and identify those beliefs, then you can ask yourself what new belief you can put in its place. I believe that's what our circumstances are for, similar to an actual physical mirror. So when you look in the mirror, you had an idea about what you wanted to look like, right? You chose an outfit, you chose a hairstyle, and when you look in the mirror, it validates whether or not you've achieved that goal. You had a desire to look a certain way, but maybe when you go to the mirror, you realize, hey, I thought yellow was my color, but I think I need to switch to orange. Or I thought I wanted to wear this particular hairstyle today, but it doesn't quite look like what I imagined. And then you go and you change it. That's how our circumstances work in manifestation. We can look at our circumstances as a mirror and say, hey, I thought I wanted to go in this direction, but now that I've had this experience, I've learned that this is what I truly want. So we can examine our circumstances as we would a mirror. We don't look at a mirror and if we don't like what we see, just keep staring at the mirror. We walk away and we make a different choice about our outfit or our hair or our shoes or whatever. We can do that with our circumstances. We don't have to stay stuck staring at the circumstances and recreating them. We can use them to catapult ourselves into a reality that's better suited for us. Why is this so important? I'm going to use another analogy. So imagine you pull up to a gated area and you want to get through this gate, right? So the gate represents the blockages, the limiting beliefs that are stopping you from getting to the other side of the gate. On the other side of the gate is what it is that you want to create. So you have a couple choices. Now, if you go the route of ignoring the gate or ignoring the circumstance, you can certainly just force your way through the gate. You can take your car and ram through that gate. And at the end of the day, you will get to the other side of the gate, right? If you take that route, though, Once you get to the other side, you've created a ruckus, right? Because you don't belong. You ignored the gate, you damaged the gate, and you damaged your car. So, in ignoring our circumstances and not paying attention to those underlying beliefs that have created them, we can damage ourselves trying to force our way into a new reality. We can try to force our way into a new reality of more, let's say, financial abundance or more successful relationships. And if we smash through that gate, we will get to the other side and there will be a ruckus. We will know that we don't belong there. Now, if we take the route of looking at our circumstances and examining them, that would be similar to pulling up to that gate and saying, hey, let me look at what I need to do to get through here peacefully. Let me check out, the steps I need to take in order to open this gate peacefully. And when we look at our circumstances and we acknowledge those underlying beliefs and then we make an intentional effort to change them, we are peacefully opening the gate so that we can drive into our new reality and know that we belong, because now we are the person that belongs on the other side of the gate. If we bully our way through by ignoring our circumstances, we'll never feel like we belong in that new circumstance, or it could take a lot of effort, a lot of work. So, what does it look like to examine the proper steps to get through the gate? We can say, okay, maybe I need to show my ID. Maybe I need to get a key. Maybe I need to tell them my name so that they can look me up on a list. Or maybe I need to go and get some sort of permission and come back. And that way, when you return and you're ready to move from your old reality outside the gate to inside the gate, you've done the work. And now you can move peacefully into that new reality. So while circumstances do not matter, while you can create, no matter what your current circumstances, you can create something completely new, it is important to examine your circumstances and use them as the jump off point to the new reality. Our current circumstances can also give us valuable information because, like I said, sometimes we can think that we want a certain thing. And then when we actually experience it, we realize it doesn't match our true desires. And it's not that we made a mistake, it's just that sometimes it takes experiencing something to know that it's not for you. So if you do that, like let's say you create an experience and you don't like it, and instead of asking yourself what you would like instead, you focus on the fact that you don't like the new situation, you do run the risk of continuing to create circumstances that you don't want. But let's say, for example, um, in my career, I decided I wanted to become an engineer based on the advice that I got from a mentor very early on in my education. And when I actually got into a certain part of engineering, I was not enjoying it. And then I eventually ended up at a job where I was having a miserable experience with my manager. And for a long time, I just wallowed in self pity, right? Like I hated the experience of coming into work every day and it was really depressing and draining. Well, one day I decided to look at that experience and tell myself, now that I've experienced this, let me use this and then start to imagine the exact opposite. Start to use this to say, this is what I want. So, for example, one of those things was I wasn't having an experience of feeling valued in that position. Now, because before I was young in my career, I didn't understand the importance of feeling valued. So it wasn't something that I tried to manifest. But after feeling so undervalued, it opened my eyes to how good it would feel to be valued. And so I used that experience of not being valued to create the new experience of being valued and feeling like a true member of a team, even down to the office environment. Like you just imagine that you're just, as a young person, a millennial, you imagine that in corporate you're supposed to be in a cubicle or in an office with a door. Well, I realized I didn't like that environment. And so part of my manifestation for my new career was to work in an environment that allowed me access to fresh air and nature and natural light. I wouldn't have known that that was something I needed unless I had experienced the opposite. So, oftentimes, our circumstances can allow us to experience what we think we want based on what we've believed up to that point. And if we ignore those experiences, then we don't really take the time to figure out the right experience going forward. The other piece of this is that our ego, or the part of us that exists in the third to fifth dimensions, can't really see all the possibilities, right? So a lot of times we decide that we want to manifest something and we're just gung ho about it, like ignore your circumstances. This is what you want. Ignore your circumstances. This is what you want. When really what you're after is a feeling, like a vibration. And so I've learned to, when I'm examining my circumstances, think about different aspects of what I've created, think about how they make me feel, and really determine whether I want to feel something different. So this was a big one when it came to my relationships, like my friendships, romantic relationships. I remember feeling like I didn't belong. So I was able to create certain relationships that I expected to have in my life, but I just had this underlying feeling of not belonging. And I remember having feelings of not being misunderstood. And so I wanted to manifest experiences where I felt like I belonged, where I felt understood, where I felt like I could be myself 100%. I wouldn't have known that I wanted to manifest that unless I had truly examined those feelings of not belonging and not feeling understood. And so instead of saying, I want friends that, do these types of activities, or I want a relationship with a person that looks like this and works this kind of job, I talked about to myself wanting to feel supported, wanting to feel adored, wanting to feel understood, wanting to feel as though I could truly be myself. So these are the things that we're after. We may think we're after money, but what we're really after is having access to what we need when we need it. We may think we're after a relationship, but what we're really after is a true sense of companionship and safety and acceptance. So using your circumstances to understand yourself better so that you can then relay that vibration to your higher self to create for you what you couldn't have imagined for yourself is how you can use your circumstances to improve your experience when manifesting. Don't ignore your circumstances. Use your circumstances as a mirror to understand what your inner landscape looks like, because our outer circumstances reflect our inner landscape. They reflect our beliefs. They reflect our desires. And sometimes looking at our circumstances in order to decipher what those beliefs are, what those motivations are, what those true desires are, can kind of catapult us into a new reality that we could never have imagined, better than we could have imagined. So, know your circumstances don't matter. And also, know you shouldn't ignore them either. You should use them to design the future that you want to step into.